Hi, you guys. It's Chloe. I'm back. Wow. First of all, sorry it's been so long. This past several months, I think I've said before, has been extraordinarily challenging for me. And so there have just been times when I didn't either have the time, the energy, the inclination to do this because it takes a lot of energy. Um, but I'm happy to say I'm back. And the other thing that was delaying me was the fact that I told you guys I wanted to do a video that kind of put together the two ideas of fasting and relating it to budgeting, which is a similar way to do that, but with your money. And I found that over the course of the time that I really got into a fasting focused lifestyle, that it was also easier to discipline myself in other areas. And I don't know if you've experienced that, but it's been one of the perks. So my financial health was actually increasing as my physical health and spiritual health were increasing. And so that was like a 3-for-1 special. And as much as I've shared with you guys about the physical and spiritual side of that for me, I haven't shared as much about the financial, and things are difficult out there right now. And if there's something that I can pass along that might help make things even a little bit easier for you, I'd love to do that. So today we're talking about a budget, and I don't know very many people who do their budget like this, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to discuss it. And I've been doing my budget like this for at least 2.5 years, maybe longer than that. 2019 was the year that I really got serious about my finances and actually paid off the end of all of my debt, which felt and feels for a lot of people like an insurmountable goal. So much so that some people don't even have it as a goal right now. They just have it hanging over their head as like this thing that they don't want to deal with or think about, and that they're just gonna have follow them around forever. And that makes me sad because I know what that feels like, because I used to feel like that too. But I also felt like that debt was holding me back, and that it was going to get in the way of what I wanted to do with my life and with my future. And I needed to get rid of it. I was tired of it following me around, which it had been doing for years. So I made a plan to get rid of it, and it actually worked. Now, there's a lot of people like out on the internet who want to give you tips about how to get out of debt, and if there's some that help you, like there's different people like Dave Ramsey and other people who have a lot of good tips, and I definitely used some but not all of their strategies to help me. But again, like fasting, you can watch a million videos, read articles, whatever, but when it comes down to what works for your body, you have to listen to you, yourself, your lifestyle. And I think financial health is the same way. You can take a ton of cues from other people, but when it comes down to the specifics, you have to figure that out for yourself. So there's some trial and error that's going to come into this process for you, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing. I think it's really good because trial and error means trial. It means you're trying, and that's better than hiding under a rock and avoiding it, which is a tendency that I have to fight in myself to avoid things that I don't want to deal with. And my finances were on that list for a long time. They're still on that list sometimes. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to look at the budget. I don't want to pay the bills. I just want to let it do its thing. But when you do that, you don't know where your money's going. And then in the end, it makes life more difficult, not less. So if you can muster the strength and the courage to deal with it now, I promise you, and I don't make promises a lot, it'll be worth it. There's this concept of what people call a sinking fund, which is where you save money a little bit at a time for something that you know, or that you know might be coming along in the future, like a vacation, Christmas, presents, just house maintenance, that kind of stuff. So I took that concept and I applied it to my monthly budget. And if you want the fasting parallel, this would be like putting yourself on an incremental weekly plan. Like, I'm gonna fast 2 days of every week, or I'm gonna do intermittent fasting and do 20 hours a day, or I'm gonna do 1 3-day dry fast a month. It's just where you say, I'm gonna look at this and split this into a manageable like segment of time, and then function accordingly, as opposed to looking at this massive piece, like an entire month's worth of paychecks and bills, or an entire month's worth of calories and fasting days, which for a lot of people feels so imposing that they don't want to deal. But if you could split it into smaller increments, I'm gonna fast for 16 hours, like you can do that. Or I'm gonna split this bill up into smaller pieces. You can do that. So that's essentially where that concept came from for me. So what I did was I took every single one of my bills and I split them into 4 equal payments. I created a checking account for myself that all of those 4 equal payments would funnel into each week. And that means that every month when that bill comes due, the money for that thing, that item, that rent, that cell phone, that whatever, that money is there already. And I don't have to come up with it. I don't have to look for it. I don't have to conjure it from somewhere. I don't have to borrow it from anyone. It's already there waiting for me. Now, once you get this set up, you can also automate all of your bills. When I first moved out of the house and got my own apartment, I was like dirt poor. So my biggest challenge was paying all the bills. But even once I got a handle on that, the second biggest challenge was remembering to pay all the bills. I'm extraordinarily forgetful. And there were times when it was like, wait, the money's there. I just forgot to I forgot to click. I forgot to log in and I forgot to do it. And so once I got this system organized, separated from the rest of my discretionary income, it felt great because then I could automate all my bills and now they can pay themselves and I don't have to remember anything. I know when they're coming and I can look to see that they cleared, but I don't have to worry if the money is there and I don't have to remember to pay for it. And that took 2 of the major things about being an adult, having the money to pay your bills and remembering to pay them, 100% off my radar. And that has been great. So let me show it to you with an example. Okay, let's say your monthly rent is $1,000. Now, my rent's not $1,000. I'm just using this as a nice round number for an example. But having $1,000 or more pull out of your account on one day every month is a lot. And for a lot of people, housing is their largest expense. And so losing that amount of money all at once can feel really prohibitive. So I got tired of feeling like that and then feeling like you're essentially crippled financially until the next time you get paid. So instead of losing that $1,000 all at once, I decided to split up that rental payment into 4 equal withdrawals of $250 each week. Now, what's nice about that is a much more manageable amount of money. You put that weekly rent into your bills account, is what I call mine. And then by the time you get to the end of the 4 weeks when your rent is due again, there it is. Now, the nice thing about this is you can do this with any of your bills. You can do this with your rent. You can do this with your phone. You can do this with insurance. You can do this with utilities. You can do this with really any bill. I do this with all of my bills down to streaming services. I have whatever the monthly service fee is split into 4, and I have essentially my entire month's worth of budget pulled out weekly and placed into this account. And that's what's key, because at no point during the month do I feel like I'm losing a large amount of money to any one bill paying event. Plus, it forces you to keep track of how much you spend week to week on various items, line items in your budget, which means, like how much are you spending on food? How much are you spending on going out? And then once you understand your budget, then you can get really serious, because you can look at how much can I save? How much can I give to other people? Donate, tithe, whatever it is. How much can I invest, right? Can you believe it? A lot of people feel like they can't, like, that this is, they're a long time from that being a part of their life. But it's sad to say, but no one's coming to take care of you in the future. So with the inflation that we've seen, with the way the economy's going, with the way the world is going, it'd be nice if you could set aside more of your money for these 3 items instead of having everything dissipate into nothingness once you get your bills paid because you don't know where the rest of it is. And having a budget lets you keep track of your money so that you don't feel imperiled every time your bills come due. You can feel empowered instead. And for those of you who still have debt, who still have student loans, who still have credit card payments, car payments, this works for all of that too. So I hope that was clear, but if not, you can just like ask me questions in the comments or whatever. I'm happy to help make that easier to understand, or answer any questions that you might have. The situation that a lot of people find themselves in is that they're living from paycheck to paycheck, which means that once they pay for everything out of each individual paycheck, there is nothing left, or less than nothing left in both of those situations. So this system can be challenging if that's where you find yourself, because you have to find these weekly increments that you can pull out of your budget right now so that a month from now the money for that bill is there. And if you just got through paying all your bills and you don't have any money left, the question feels like, well, where am I going to get it from? So if you can pull yourself back and do a broader budget to see if there's any money kind of floating around that you could borrow from yourself for a bit, like money going out, entertainment, putting a hold on a subscription service or streaming service for a month or 2, just something to give yourself a little breathing room. I don't know, overtime at work, a side hustle. I know rest is so important, so I hate to force people to work more when we're already so tired, all of us, with the way the world is going. But I don't know, whatever works for you, that you can give yourself some financial breathing room and just take your maybe lowest bill and try this out. I don't know, because depending on how many people you're responsible for in your household, some of those bills are larger or smaller. But if you can take one that's maybe under $100 or around $100, then you're just talking about coming up with $25 a week for 4 weeks in a row. And then once you do that, that 100 is never going to disappear all at once again, because you'll already have saved for it. And that is going to give you a little more flexibility, because those big amounts of money stop leaving you all at once. And that is really my favorite thing about this system. And we're going to bring the fasting back into the finance because they're intertwined forever. Food is a big expense for a lot of people, and it was one of my major, I mean, like really unnecessarily, like egregiously major expenses before I took on a fasting focused lifestyle. But also, when I am doing more fasting or less fasting, my grocery bill fluctuates, as it would, because I'm not spending money on groceries when I'm not eating. So try to keep an eye on, maybe everyone has a different thing. It's food for a lot of people, but it might be something else for you. That area of your budget that tends to kind of run off on its own and do whatever it wants. It's just one of my favorite things that I have done for myself as an adult, is not being afraid of my own finances anymore, and linking them to the way that I conduct myself so that they're intertwined and they're a part of me. They're not this separate entity that I'm trying to hide from. And that does not mean that I am overly materialistic, or that I'm out to get everyone, or that money rules my life. It actually means that money rules my life less, because I'm not constantly worried about it. And you can do that at any income level. Even if right now it feels like the money that you have coming in isn't enough for what you have going out. And that might be the case. But at least if you look at all the numbers on paper, you can see like what it is you can do about that. That part I cannot tell you, but how to organize the money that is there, this works. This works every time. So thanks so much for your patience, guys. I've been thinking about this video for months, and never did I forget that I said I was going to do it. And I'm gonna talk more about these things coming up and other things. I have stuff planned. I always have stuff planned. So if you haven't hit subscribe already, do so. I'd love that and appreciate it. If you already have, if you're new here, welcome. There are some new people here, so that's always great to see. And take care of yourself, because there's a lot of things going on in the world right now, and it's been a tough time for all of us. So breathe, and we're gonna be all right.